Hey everyone, it's Bitch and Dave. How are you doing? So it looks like maybe the NFL labor dispute is finally coming to a close. Maybe they're going to come to an agreement here shortly. Maybe not. Who really knows? And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the whole of the NFL and the Dolphins in particular because, as you know, I was a big Dolphins fan heading into this thing. And I've kind of come to a conclusion at this point that back in I really became a fan. My grandfather was a fan in the 1970s of the Dolphins. I mean, they were in the city of Miami, and my grandparents were in the city of Miami, and my grandfather became a big fan of the Dolphins. And I kind of became a fan of the Dolphins because of him. And in the early 1980s, as I was in high school, I became a bigger fan and really started enjoying them and really understood what the sport was all about, and I really got a lot out of it. And then as we got into the '82 strike, it kind of hurt me, as a fan. And I actually was kind of back and forth up until that point. I was a fan of the Dolphins were my favorite team, but I liked some other teams as well. I kind of got interested in the Buccaneers because they were having more success than the Dolphins were at that point. I actually liked the Packers and a couple of other teams, and just enjoyed football in general. But the Dolphins were my favorite team. Then after the '82 strike, the Dolphins became my favorite team, and that's really the only team I watched. Then we had the '87 strike, and I didn't really think very much of anything that happened at that point. Really didn't like the players very much at that point because they went on strike, but didn't really appreciate what was going on with the ownership. And then over the years, I've come to understand what's happened with the ownership and where we went with that. So now here it is. They had a big labor disagreement in '87, and then that kind of changed my opinion. But I stayed a Dolphin fan, and now here we are, 25 years later, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, I'm thinking I'm not so much of a Dolphin fan anymore. I think I'll still watch football. I think I'll still enjoy football. I think the Dolphins will still be my favorite team. But I don't think they're the only team I'm going to look at anymore. I think I'm going to go back to kind of the way I was before '82 and start looking at other teams and enjoying the NFL on the whole and just watching whatever game happens to suit me. Now, what does that mean for my podcast and blog? Well, I think that means that I'll still kind of report on the Dolphins, but I am going to make fun of them. I'm going to have some fun making fun of them. You got the Boot and Bull in Tony Sperano. You got the Furious Enigma in Jeff Ireland. And you've got Captain Izzy Firepants, the owner of the team there. And then you got Schmo Montana, the quarterback. And that's kind of how I view them. And I think it's more fun to just make fun of them along the way as I watch the NFL and the NFL season. Look, if the teams do come back together and we see the NFL get back in play again, I don't expect the Dolphins to do any better than maybe 6-10 this year. You can be an optimist if you want to be. I'm not. I'm pretty much done. So I figure they're probably going to win about 6 games, and that's not good enough for me. So I'm going to find some other teams to watch and just kind of enjoy it. And I'll report to you from time to time on things that are going on. I'll still kind of stay in tune with the Dolphins, but in a different way probably, and probably won't have as much to say about it. So that's my take for this week. We'll see what happens with the NFL, and if they do come back in the next week or so. I can't see how they can get free agency together and start training camp and have 90 players on a roster and never have met with the coaches and haven't signed any draft picks or any of these undrafted players. So I have to imagine that there's a lot more at stake here than they're trying to let on. But we'll see. That's my take for now. See you around.